Imagine walking into a pharmacy, picking up a prescription, and knowing exactly what it costs before you reach the counter. No hidden fees, no shocking bills later, just transparent pricing. For millions of Americans, this idea once felt like a dream. But during the Trump administration, a bold initiative attempted to turn this dream into reality by unveiling the true costs of drugs and healthcare. In recent decades, healthcare costs in the United States have soared, leaving patients frustrated, confused, and often financially burdened. One of the biggest challenges has been the lack of price transparency. Patients rarely know how much a drug or medical service will cost until after it has already been provided. This secrecy benefits some players in the system but undermines consumer choice and competition. In 2018 and 2019, President Donald Trump's administration launched a series of initiatives to address this issue, aiming to reveal healthcare costs and force greater transparency in prescription drug pricing. While controversial, these moves generated national debate and changed the conversation around how Americans view healthcare costs. For decades, the U.S. healthcare market has operated without clear, upfront pricing. Patients visiting hospitals or pharmacies usually only find out their final bill after services are delivered. This lack of transparency is particularly evident in prescription drugs. Pharmacy benefit managers negotiate discounts with drug manufacturers, but often keep the details secret. Different insurance plans, rebates, and copay assistance programs further obscure the true cost of medications. Patients can't easily compare prices between pharmacies or brands, reducing competition and keeping prices high. Recognizing public anger over rising drug prices, the Trump administration proposed a multi-pronged approach to address the issue. A central element was price transparency. One step was to require pharmaceutical companies to include list prices of drugs in television ads so that consumers would see the numbers as clearly as they see side effect warnings. Another step was to require hospitals to publicly disclose the prices of hundreds of common services, including negotiated rates with insurers, something never before required on such a scale. Executive orders also targeted the hidden rebates between drug makers and pharmacy benefit managers in an effort to lower out-of-pocket costs for patients. The underlying rationale was straightforward. If patients know the price up front, they can make more informed decisions, and companies will face more pressure to compete on price. The initiatives sparked strong reactions across the political and business spectrum. Supporters argued that transparency is a basic consumer right. Knowing the cost before treatment would help Americans shop for better deals and hold providers accountable. Critics countered that list prices do not reflect the actual prices paid after rebates and insurance adjustments, so disclosures could be misleading. Pharmaceutical companies fought the television ad rule in court, claiming it violated free speech. Healthcare providers expressed concerns about administrative burdens and the possibility of exposing their negotiated contracts with insurers. Many of Trump's transparency measures faced legal challenges. The rule requiring drug prices in TV ads was struck down by a federal court, which ruled that the Department of Health and Human Services lacked the authority to impose it without congressional approval. Hospital price transparency rules also faced lawsuits, but eventually went into effect in January 2021 after multiple delays. Despite these challenges, the transparency movement gained momentum, with several states passing their own laws to require disclosure of drug prices or hospital charges. Even though full transparency has not yet been achieved, the push had several significant effects. Patients, media outlets, and consumer groups began focusing more on price transparency. Subsequent administrations and lawmakers from both parties have introduced their own transparency measures, showing that the issue transcends partisan politics. Drug makers and insurers began preparing for a future in which negotiated prices might become public information. Some hospitals launched price estimator tools to comply with new regulations and to attract cost-conscious consumers. All of these steps signaled a shift toward making healthcare prices visible in ways they had never been before. For patients, the potential benefits of transparency are significant. Knowing the real cost of a medication can empower someone to ask for a cheaper alternative, switch pharmacies, or negotiate payment terms in advance. When prices are hidden, patients may be surprised by bills they cannot afford. When prices are visible, the healthcare system begins to resemble a normal market, where competition can drive down costs and improve quality. For providers and drug makers, transparency introduces new pressures, but also new opportunities to differentiate on value, quality, and service. The Trump administration's effort also highlighted the complexity of America's healthcare ecosystem. While the idea of revealing prices sounds simple, implementing it is not. Contracts between insurers, hospitals, and drug makers are dense and proprietary. List prices are rarely what anyone actually pays. Rebates, discounts, and assistance programs can change the real cost dramatically. Nevertheless, the initiative forced stakeholders to confront these issues publicly, which in itself was a step toward reform. As of today, the debate over drug price transparency is far from over. Some of Trump's initiatives were rolled back or modified, while others have been continued or expanded under new leadership. Lawmakers continue to introduce bills aimed at revealing more information about drug prices and hospital charges. Meanwhile, consumer advocacy groups push for even greater disclosure and simpler billing practices. Whatever the political future holds, the concept of price transparency has moved from the fringes to the mainstream of healthcare policy. In the end, Trump's initiative to reveal healthcare costs was not a complete solution to the problem of high drug prices, but it shifted the conversation in a lasting way. By pushing transparency to the forefront, it made it harder for stakeholders to justify secrecy, and more likely that future reforms will build on this foundation. For everyday Americans, the prospect of understanding and comparing healthcare costs no longer feels like an impossible dream. It is becoming an expectation. Looking ahead, the story of this initiative serves as a reminder that bold policy moves can change public awareness, even when they face legal and political hurdles. Patients, providers, and policymakers are all now more conscious of the importance of transparency in building a fair and sustainable healthcare system. While disagreements over implementation and impact will continue, the principle that consumers deserve to know the cost of their care before they receive it has taken root. As with any major reform, real progress will take time. But the groundwork laid during the Trump administration has already reshaped how Americans think about drug prices and healthcare costs. With continued attention, bipartisan effort, and technological innovation, a more transparent healthcare system could finally emerge. And if that happens, the ultimate winners will be the patients who no longer have to fear the unknown when they go to the pharmacy counter or the hospital billing desk.